Shut up and sit down.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening from wherever you're listening across the world. Welcome to another episode of Just Ball Things off-season edition. With me today, as always, showing off his Joe Harris t-shirt. I don't think I've seen that t-shirt before. With me today, as always, is the J-Man, Jack Manuel. Obviously, very stoked about some Nets news, which we will get to later. How are you, mate, other than brilliant?
Brilliant with a capital BRILLIANT. I spelled that right.
Yeah, well done.
Normally, you're not a good speller on this podcast, but I am. I literally just came off a Brooklyn Buzz live on Periscope.
You're buzzing, mate. Awesome. You're buzzing.
I'm literally buzzing with brilliance. It's awesome. It's a good time for Nets fans. Serge Ibaka's next, hopefully, and ticking off the boxes. Maybe cheekily get a Nicholas Batum on the vet minimum. Add some different pieces there. Trevor Ariza might want to come. But there's some Wizards woes to also get to.
There's always some Wizards woes, Jackie boy, and I think the people out there, if you've been following free agency and trades and know exactly where this one is going. So without further ado, let's get straight into this one. You can contact us at the J-Man JBT or at JBT Nick. They are there, right there. I mean, Jack, you just point down, you can't see shit. We're also closely affiliated with OTG Basketball. They've got an awesome podcast network and YouTube network where you can keep up to date with all things NBA. Make sure you give them a follow at OTG Basketball and on YouTube as well at OTG Basketball, where you can catch all episodes of Just Ball Things as well. Facebook.com/JustBallThings. Give us a like and a follow there. And jbtpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up with the emails and we will read out your stuff on the show. Suggestions, comments, questions, anything you want to hit at us. jbtpodcast@gmail.com or the DMs on Twitter as well. We're active there. Okay, let's get started with this one, Jackie boy. The Busink Manuel scale. Let's start with some BMS. For those of you who are new, this is a JBT created scale that sums up how likely things are to happen in the NBA. We scale it on alternative fact, Twitter fact, Wikipedia fact, or just a straight up fact in that order. Mate, first one here. I guess we got to go to some Wizards woes. We got to get some Wizards woes.
The Washington Wizards is making noise.
I drank some bleach all the way down to the blue, and now I'm starting to feel like Harry Potter.
Absolute banger, Jackie boy. Absolute banger. Never stop the slaps. All right. John Wall, the freaking elephant in the room, will make a bigger impact than Russell Westbrook on a new team.
Nick, you want to grab this one first, mate? Talked a bit about Russell Westbrook last week. You were the Russell Westbrook stan, but you can't stand Russell Westbrook today if you're going against your boy John Wall. The reason why you go for the Washington Wizards.
Literally. I mean, we're going to throw some highlights of John Wall up there, and obviously this is now 2 years removed, and it's so hard to see whether he will be as impactful as he is there with the injury problems that he's had. Obviously, Russell Westbrook is not one for injury problems either. Obviously not as severe as Wall, but they are still lingering. They're old men now. Russell Westbrook's 32 and Wall is 30.
That's not old. That's not old.
It's old, Jack. It's old. Get used to it. So it's not looking good in either way. I mean, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place with these contracts and these players. Russell Westbrook is a little bit of a known entity, so that, I guess, is safer. But, I mean, they're still getting paid $38 million a year per year for the next 4 years. So,
it's like $47 million.
Or something like that, yeah.
They're on the same contract, I'm pretty sure.
I thought that Westbrook's was... I remember saying last week that I would prefer Westbrook because I thought the contract was 2 years shorter. But no, it's not. So now you're really splitting hairs. I thought I was sold on Westbrook, but I probably still am sold on Westbrook. I think I think Westbrook, especially with Brooks, you've got that Brooks and Westbrook old relationship that they used to have down at OKC, can potentially be, really, really good. I think he would still be happy at a team like the Wizards because of that connection. And Wall, I hope for him that he can come back fighting, but I sure to hell hope that the Rockets do not get a fully fighting fit John Wall, because John Wall is the better player in this. If we get John Wall at John Wall, I'm saying John Wall a lot. I'm saying this word a lot, but I think John Wall's the better player if he comes back and does the stuff that we're seeing right now. Westbrook, we've seen the decline, but John Wall, that decline can easily happen to him. 2 years out of the league.
To me though, Nick, wasn't he still all NBA?
Sorry?
Russell Westbrook, wasn't he still all NBA?
Don't even get me started on his all NBA. Fuck. Oh, you know how to trigger me, Jackie.
You were standing him last week, and now you're totally against him. What
happened?
happened?
I was never for his all NBA status. I was never for it. Bradley Beal deserved that. I don't even remember the context of what I was standing Russell Westbrook. I'm not sure, but the guy can still be aggressive. He will still be a very good asset for the Wizards. But am I higher on Wall or am I higher on Westbrook? I'm higher on Wall, mainly because there is this air of there's this air of I guess anonymity. Ooh.
Oh, look at this dude! Spell anonymity.
I didn't even pronounce anonymity. Oh god. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Spell it. Go.
Hell no.
ANONYMITY.
I can't even fact check that, Jackie boy. That's not fair. But yeah, there's this this air of unknownness. I'm very bad. You don't know what he's going to bring. You don't know what he's going to bring.
Just stick with anonymity. It's a good word.
No, I want to change up my vocabulary. Bad. So you don't know what you're going to get with Wall, and we'll see next season. But he can be a better player, unless Russell Westbrook goes through like a similar resurgence that, I don't know, Dwight had. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe he gets more of a... with the level of shooters that we have around at the Wizards, being Beal can definitely be playing off ball and Bertans as well. Maybe he has more of an allowance to drive, and he would obviously be the man and fulfill a similar role to what Wall does. Wall was never he had a decent enough mid range because he creates some separation, but was never lights out from the three. Better than Westbrook. He was better shooter than Westbrook, I'll say. But yeah, it's. I still think Westbrook can be very impactful at the Wizards, filling in a almost like for like role with Wall. But Wall is better at it. I mean, look at these passes. Whoa.
Westbrook
can pass as well. Westbrook, no doubt, but we're not seeing Westbrook of 3 years ago. This is the thing. We are currently seeing on the left side of this screen very peak John Wall, and it's looking the other way, Jack. Look the other way.
Well, that's my left.
Well, that's where anyway. He can still be impactful. I have gone on a big rant, essentially saying the same things over and over and over again. Ultimately, this is a almost near fact for me. John Wall will make a bigger impact.
I'm the complete opposite, Nick. I think I'm back on the Russell Westbrook standard because
there we go. It's all everything is normal in the world now.
We're disagreeing again. The Wizards suck. The Nets are now good. Oh man, it's great. We've been doing this podcast for 4 years, and I remember back in the day, you're like, man, imagine when it comes around and the Nets are eventually
that literally lasted one season. It was the first season where I think we may have scraped playoffs, and then all of our injuries happened. We signed Wall to the ginormous supermax. The whole stuff with Porter signing the max, and then Wall and Gortat, and it was just crumbling. I think my high horse lasted one season, and then it quickly flipped around.
Yeah, it certainly did. Now, the reason why I am actually probably higher on Westbrook, Nick, is because of partly what you said. And we did discuss this on the outlet on some live Periscope pods that are on YouTube as well. So check that out if you're subscribed. Check out all the content there. Because of the unknown factor, the anonymity, if you will, I think that Russell Westbrook is a more known commodity because the recent peak of Russell Westbrook, January to March, the shutdown, was really good. It's the reason why he got on the All-NBA team.
Yes.
Whereas John Wall, I don't think is going to be an All-NBA caliber player ever again.
See, there's the thing. So I hope and I pray and I
he's your favorite player,
truly hope that he can get back to. I need to hold on to something. Yeah.
The same way I am about this dude, except you've got like a John Wall jersey. I have a Joe Harris shirt with his face and body on it. So mine's better. I win. My fandom is better. I win. No, in all seriousness, I think if it's a like-for-like trade, I don't think it really does much ultimately. I think, if anything, it could push Bradley Beal out and maybe possibly to my Brooklyn Nets or to an opposing team, Denver Nuggets or wherever else. I think that if John Wall were to leave, obviously, we've spoken about him maybe for the last couple of weeks. His maturity. There were talks about people behind the scenes this week. I'm not sure if you saw the reports, Nick, that people weren't happy with the gang signs that we spoke about on a previous pod as well, relating to his leadership and maturity. He's 30 years old, Nick. I'm not doing that sort of stuff anymore. I'm buying candles. I'm going to Bunnings and the sausage sizzles. I'm doing what a 30-year-old man should be doing. I'm still having a bit of fun. I'm still, doing dumb things. I'm still young. I'm still cool. I can pay later, as the Simpsons would say. But yeah, look, I think that there is I'm not as high on John Wall getting back. I think that John Wall as an athlete, both of these guys are. It's eerie how similar they are.
Yes,
they both rely on athleticism. They both have. I mentioned I was low on Russell Westbrook's defense. I'm actually probably higher on John Wall as a defender and have been higher on John Wall as a defender, partly because of those chase down blocks that you alluded to.
We did talk about the sort of relationship, and I was saying that Russ is I think he's a rated defender. I think people rate him, but you don't. So I guess he's an underrated defender in your eyes. Well, in my eyes, to your eyes.
Yeah.
That's confusing.
I need to I need to see what the world's like in your eyes, Nick. But yeah, in saying that, I think there's also rumors that this could be a three-way trade with Blake Griffin possibly going to Houston or Washington, which I think would be intriguing in a lot of respects. But it's something we'll have to keep an eye on. And I know you want your boy John Wall to get back. I'm not as high on it as you are, my guy. Russell Westbrook, I'm not necessarily that much higher on either. But I think that Russell Westbrook, because what we have seen from him, and it's maybe a recency bias. Maybe it's a recency bias for you watching this YouTube video. Is it still playing over there?
No, it's stopped now. It's stopped now.
Yeah, I'll watch it. And one thing I wanted to do is I saw the cutest. I know you don't like this video, but I wanted the viewers to see this video. It's Russell Westbrook being the goddamn cutest dad ever with his kids. And Nick, whenever you play it, let me know.
All right, here we go. It's cute. Who? I love how into their food they are. I love how into their food they are. They're just they're just eating away. It's just like,
and Westbrook's like, come on,
clap, dance. He's like, no, goddamn, I want my goddamn pasta. I can relate to that. On so many levels.
Yes, you can.
It is cute. I'll give him that. I can't ever see John Wall coming out with a similar video of doing something like that. So
maybe that's why I'm high on Russell Westbrook, because he's just got this goddamn cute dad, and his kids are cute trying to clap and get the timing. Like they're kind of on, they're kind of off.
Does the Russell Westbrook attitude bode better for people like Bradley Beal and Dove Spencer? This is sort of something that I've been thinking of.
That's a good point.
Because you trade the personalities as well, and on court very similar personalities. Off court, quite different. People have often spoken about how Russ has this massive white line fever, and off the court he's such a gentle, caring person. As evident in this video, and we've had reports of that. He does a lot of philanthropic work as well.
Loyal as hell with his friends and family.
That's right.
Yeah.
So does that sort of bode well for a team culture than potentially Wall, who was, seen, playing cards during an interview, being extremely blasé. The gang sign's not a good look, I'm leaning towards yes. There's nothing to tell me otherwise that this wouldn't be a good fit. I guess a good transition. I guess what happens to Houston, that'd be hella interesting, because I don't think Wall. Westbrook can be your MVP on a team, but Wall can't be that. And maybe we see progressions in Beal's playing next to, a guy who knows what it takes to be an MVP in this league, who knows what it takes to hit the playoffs many, many times, maybe not perform in those playoffs, but to reach the playoffs. I think the experience there is a very important point to take away as well, just as a final sort of
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And we'll move on in a little bit, but the one thing I did want to add, Nick, to finish it off as well, is that just a couple of months ago, I did hear that John Wall and Bradley Beal were both excited and intrigued to be back together and see what they could do on the court together. So I wonder what behind the scenes has changed. Obviously we'll find out in due course whether John Wall and the Wizards can figure it out, and whether Russell Westbrook and the Houston Rockets can figure it out. I'm sure we'll be doing another Wizards Woes about it very, very soon.
I have no doubt, Jackie boy.
Nick, we'll get on to this man here, the most just beautiful man to step this earth since maybe you, Nick. You're looking good these days, mate. Your glasses.
How old is Joe Harris?
I think he's 28.
Well, he's older than me, so Joe Harris was. It can't be the I would have to be older than Joe Harris.
For the 2 years that you weren't on this earth, he was sexier. Let's quickly move past that. Nick, Joe Harris's new contract isn't overpay. Now, before we get stuck into this and we spend about 85 to 90 minutes discussing it, also did discuss it on a live Brooklyn Buzz. Check that out on the OTT Basketball Twitter, and also Brooklyn Buzz on iTunes, Spotify, and the rest. I regaled this poem to start off the podcast.
Should we play some Brooklyn bits? Do it.
It'll get me hyped for this poem.
Okay. Very nice, Jackie boy. All right. Take it away. I'm scared.
Joe Harris is back with the Nets. I now no longer have to fret. He made lots of money. I bet he tastes like honey. This is the freaking best. Joey Buckets, baby. Joey, goddamn, headband, bucket, shaggy.
All right. All right.
I'm happy.
If I were to rate this
Poem.
on the Busick Manuel scale, how dope was that poem? This is an alternative fact.
I spent you know what I did yesterday when you were trying to get things sort of, to get people a peek behind the scenes how the sausage is made. We were having some technical issues. Nick's been updating his computer. He does a heap of awesome work behind the scenes to get this product looking as good as it does. And as you were doing it, I had my notebook, I've been taking down notes of every free agent that has been signed. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something dumb here. And it's in a long list in the list of dumb things that I've done. And I just wrote a 5-word. It might as well be a haiku, Nick. It almost fits like a haiku a little bit.
Well, I was expecting something like a haiku, the whole 7-13-7, or is it 5?
No, I think 7-5-7-7, is it?
It's
or 7,
3
5,
lines.
7.
3 lines. It's
7-5-7.
I think I think it's because the middle one's longer. The middle one's longer.
Shorter.
No, the middle one's.
All right, I'm going to look up what a haiku is, and you give me your thoughts on the Joe Harris contract. And you'd better be playing the goddamn highlights.
Yes, sir. I will do so.
I'll look up the haiku structure. You go about Joe Harris.
Anyway, The
575. It's
575.
short.
There you go.
Dump
Yeah, I knew it was
Nick.
short, long shot. So we got some Joe Harris highlights. He's obviously a beautiful man with a beautiful skill set. He is a beautiful man. He is.
Before I keep going, Nick, I went in a little bit of a back and forth with Trey Kirby of No Dunks on Twitter because I'm not sure if you watched the new No Dunks yet, Nick.
No, I haven't.
But he called him average looking. He called him normal looking. And I added him on Twitter, and I'm like, it is a goddamn travesty that he will not acknowledge the handsomeness of Joe Harris. And he's like, he's not even one of the handsome guys in the league. I went in with the back and forth. Called him out on the Brooklyn Buzz. Called him out again on JBT. Trey Kirby, I'm coming for you, mate. And Joe Harris, look at that face. Look at
He's
that.
like he's like a mama hen. You're so protective of your chicks. You're proud mama hen. Yeah, Joe Harris. Even his profile, like you're looking at. I'm just gonna throw this up on the screen briefly. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that profile pic for Joe Harris. Oh, it's gone away. Where'd it go? Oh, it's over on the other screen. There it is. Look at that. He's a beautiful man. His contract comes out to around 19 a year for 4 years.
Yep, 475.
Which I think is, it's still good. Like he's 42% from three. The guy is going to be even more off ball than he is now. He's going to get even more catch and shoot opportunities. What's he on? He's on 6 3-pointers attempted a game. That's actually probably a good amount. I wouldn't expect that to go. I wouldn't expect that to skyrocket now with his new team. But
well, you might expect the shots that are 2-pointers.
Yeah.
To change.
Well, that's right. And his minutes, his sort of like minutes per shot will increase. I would suggest. The guy is a absolute knockdown shooter. We have seen that in the 3-point contest, and obviously his general play in Brooklyn. There's no doubt about him from the 3-point arc, and that's going to be his entire job. You're going to see him be a corver in this team. He obviously does have a little bit of sort of on ball, and can drive to the hoop and set up a little bit. So off the bench, I guess, playing against second units, he will definitely have his opportunities. His new contract is overpay. I'm going to put this as a sort of Wikipedia fact because it's always, almost $20 million a year for someone who is going to be a knockdown shooter. Will he be starting for you guys? I wouldn't imagine he will be. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Well, that might change my tune a little bit. How many minutes do you reckon he'll play a game? I
would assume it would stay the same, around 31 to 33 minutes a game.
Okay. Well, then that's probably good. I'm probably leaning a little bit more towards Twitter then. If he's making good, and I have no doubt he'll make good contributions, but in my eyes, he was going to be with your new signings, especially if you make this James Harden deal happen. His minutes will go down. His shots will generally stay the same. He will still have the opportunities, and he will still have a decent enough points average. But it is $20 million a year is a lot for a guy who I saw coming off the bench and sort of just being that knockdown shooter.
Do you think, to bring it back to sort of a Wizards tack, you saw the Davis Bertans, I think it's 5 years, $80 million. Do you think that's an overpay as well, or do you think that that's reasonable?
No, it's reasonable for Bertans, I think. We were in a similar position with Porter. We sort of didn't have a choice. We had to pay him what he wanted.
It's the same with us and Joe Harris, I think, as well.
That's right. I'm not saying that you didn't have a choice. You sort of had to bring him back. He's been such a faithful sort of player for you guys, and still definitely has the skill to back it up. It's just you sort of get stuck in these situations, as we did with Porter, because if you guys freaking offered him the max. Do you remember that? He was a restricted free agent.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah. So yeah, the contract on Bertans is a little bit more, I guess, even keeled. Bertans has a bigger role to play in our team though than Harris will for the next season, I should say. And Essentially, that's where I lie on it. Bertans gets paid less, obviously a longer contract.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was an overpay. This one, if he does average, your 31 minutes, like you're saying, he still gets his 20-odd points a game. 15-ish points a game. Then potentially not an overpay. But I can see his minutes going down.
Yeah, I don't see them going down, to be honest, Nick. Look, maybe Landry Shamet gets more minutes and it takes away minutes, and it's just like, look, you're replacing like for like and two incredible three-point shooters, both on the roster. There is a possibility that does happen, and there are moves that could still be made hard, and whether it's whoever else around the wings. But I think Joe Harris is, I said this on the live stream, Joe Harris is the third most important Brooklyn net next season. If James Harden isn't going to be signed, because what he can do, you mentioned, he's not just a three-point shooter. He's a clever drive off the catch. He's a clever cutter. He is a capable enough defender. He's clever. He makes good decisions with the ball in his hands. He's not a sieve defensively. He's just a good basketballer, and his mid-range game has developed a little bit too. So I think he's diversified his game to be just beyond a gunner. I think Davis Bertans is a better three-point shooter. It's sacrilege of me to say, to provide some level of objectivity. But Davis Bertans does it from every angle and 5 foot deeper, and he's got 3 inches taller. He's an insane shooter. It's like him and Duncan Robertson are probably the two top guys for me, just with the gravity that they have. And also Bertans is 6'9", 6'10", Joe Harris 6'6". But in saying that, both of them might be overpays. But if you're comparing them to other deals that we're eventually going to look at, and we'll just do a quick recap of some deals and go through some teams. Nick, there's some articles and links there if you want to chuck them up. Miles Plumlee, a 3-year, $25 million deal is just incredibly, horrifically stupid. Jeremy Grant, 3-year, $60 million, a little bit of an overpay. I think that was an extensive deal. Marcus Morris at 4 years, $64 million. A lot of guys got some biggish contracts. Other guys got, under market value, Jay Crowder and maybe even Montrezl Harrell. But at the end of the day, the owner stepped up. Our guy, Joseph Tsai, he had some money. He said that he was going to go into the luxury tax. He said he was going to retain Joe Harris. And he put his money where his mouth is. So, I don't know. Out of these other deals, Nick, I've been going back and forth. I've done so many goddamn podcasts that I think this mic is about to explode. And we talked about all the deals, Bertans, there's Grant, Garrett Temple moving. There's Derek Jones. Gallinari got a 3-year, $61 million deal, which I think was a bit of an overpay for a guy who's never made an All-Star game and he's 30 years old. I think it's the richest deal, Woj said, for an over 30-year-old who hasn't made an All-Star game. Literally, look, I've written all the contracts that have gone down over the past day or so. I've been putting in work, my dude. Malik Beasley, I think 4-year, $60 million deals, especially with the things that are happening behind the scenes with, the legal battles and the stuff that's happening off the court for him is certainly unsavory. But, I'm sure Minnesota have done their due diligence in that regard. But what are some deals that are, to put a pin in the Joe Harris stuff, mild Twitter fact. You know what? It's a fleet fact. Probably another Twitter update. Have you seen the fleets? Have you been on Twitter yet?
Mm-mm.
Another update that you haven't seen, Nick. Twitter basically has stories.
Oh, wait. No. Yeah, sorry. I did say that. I didn't realize they were called fleets.
They're called fleets. So I'm calling it a fleet fact. Maybe we have to add that into the scale. It's lower than Twitter. A fleet fact. It's not fair. You got to admit it.
We don't need any more goddamn rugs on this goddamn scale.
Make some new shirts. Get some hoodies out for the Northern Hemisphere. Get some tank tops out for the Southern Hemisphere. But in terms of some other deals, Nick, that spring to mind as overall under deals, teams that did well, give me some just quick thoughts on the free agency period so far. It's been crazy.
It has. It's been so crazy that I can barely fucking keep up.
You turned your phone off, didn't you?
During the draft.
Oh, the draft.
I couldn't. My phone was just. I mean, it comes off during a work day here, so I couldn't. My phone was just buzzing, and I ended up just turning off notifications and deleting them all. And I was just like, okay, that was not a good idea because now I have no idea what's happened. Twitter was quick to fix that, so that was good. I mean, you mentioned the things like Malik Beasley, 3 years, $60 million, was it?
4 years, 60.
4 years, 60 seems like a lot. like I think you mentioned that was one of your big overpays. I like the who was I? I remember saying something. Ooh,
Do you have? I'm not sure what you have on the screen right now, Nick. Are you scrolling through some of the deals?
Oh yeah, I could put that on the screen. Yep, let's. Put
I know that
I
I put out on OTG Basketball's Twitter, teams that have won free agency so far, and I put out Lakers, Phoenix, and Atlanta. Atlanta basically have a new team, and they still have like $20 million. Gallinari, Rajon Rondo. I really like the Chris Dunn deal as well. Not a big. I think the Rajon Rondo is an overpay as well. 2 years, $50 million for a guy who plays 12 games a season. Playoff Rondo is basically what he is. He doesn't play regular season.
Yeah, but I don't think that is. I don't think you can ever overpay for someone like Rondo, especially if your team consistently makes the playoffs, because he will make his money there. I have no doubt that he will make his money there. Jeremy Grant, 3 years, $60 million is just that is gross. 2 year, 19 for Montrezl Harrell is awesome. That is just he just reduced his. I don't understand why. He obviously wants a chip. I mean, there was the reason he went to the Clippers. He saw that sort of championship in sight, and obviously fell short at the Clippers. And obviously sees the light at the end of the tunnel in LA, which is why I think he definitely has taken a pay cut. He could have gotten something much better, maybe at a smaller market. He is still a very, very good player. Hayward, 4 years, $120 million.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about the Hayward.
Massive overpay.
Michael Jordan,
$30 million a year for fucking Gordon Hayward. I'm sorry, Celtics and Jazz fans. I've never quite been high on Gordon Hayward, and obviously 2 injuries now for Hayward that has set him back. We're still scrolling here. If you can see that on the left.
A bit on Hayward while you're scrolling, Nick.
Yeah.
I was utterly shocked at that, because yesterday I was chatting with Corey, and he was strongly linked in a sign-in trade to the Indiana Pacers. Danny Ainge was getting a bit greedy, wanted like T.J. Warren and Aaron Holiday as well as Miles Turner in that sign-in trade, which makes absolutely no sense. If they had just, I'm not sure if Danny Ainge's greed came back to bite him in the ass, but if it did, good, because I'm not a big Celtics fan, and I'm not a big Celtics fan either. And I'm not a fan of the overpay by Michael Jordan or Mitch Kupchak. But at the same time, if it means that Celtics fans are salty, it makes me feel a little bit better. LaMelo Ball, Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier. But now there's rumors that Terry Rozier might be shipped out. Obviously, Nicholas Batum is being waived and stretched and waived, whichever way it goes in that respect. So I don't know, Charlotte. It's weird, man, because they chose not to pay Kemba Walker and let him walk despite his commitment and loyalty to that franchise. I'm a bit befuddled. And right now the Celtics just signed Tristan Thompson. Breaking news. Breaking news because we're not doing this live, but they've signed him. So the Celtics did something nice there, getting Tristan Thompson. Nice. That's a nice center for them. With Tice, I think that's a decent center duo. I don't like it because it makes them better, and it makes it harder for the Brooklyn division. Makes the East that little bit trickier. But hey, Robin Lopez to the Washington Wizards as well, Nick. Did you see that? That stuck under the radar.
That did sneak under the radar. Again, it's sort of hard for me to get excited about trades for a team that really has... I mean, I guess we do have playoff aspirations, but realistically, we're probably not going to make it. There's too many teams vying for those, 7-8 spots. So... it's hard. It's like, great, we might not be a train wreck, but is that the bar I'm going for? It's not a good place to be. Fred VanVleet, 4 years, $85 million for the Toronto.
Good deal.
I think was a very good deal for Fred VanVleet, that man. I'm stumbling all over my words today. I thought was good for I think that's good for the Raptors. I highlighted that one for the people who are seeing the stream now. He's a great player. Playoff pedigree, obviously has the chip, and just a very, very good soldier for Toronto. So that's good that they were able to retain him for less than the max, which is great. That's fantastic.
Yep, awesome. Absolutely great move for them. We'll get to we touched on some of these teams just then, Nick, but moving on, the Phoenix Suns and Atlanta Hawks off-season moves guarantee them a playoff position. Now, Phoenix Suns obviously getting in Jay Crowder, getting in Chris Paul, making some decent moves in the draft, even though some people weren't as high on, I think it was Jalen Stewart. I like what Phoenix has done. I think that they've got some good defense now. They've got some adults in the room. They do lose an incredibly sexy player in Kelly Oubre, but sometimes
He's
so
been passed,
sexy.
and he got signed away from OKC as well, didn't he?
Golden State.
Yeah, the Golden State. That's
now.
right. He's a beautiful man. He doesn't deserve to be passed around like change.
Yep, I'm not adding anything to that. The Atlanta Hawks, if you click on that second tweet for me, Nick, you can basically show everyone basically what their roster is at this point in time. And I still think that they have some room to possibly maybe add a Bogdanovic possibly, maybe some other guys around the wings that could certainly add some value behind the scenes. I'm intrigued to see, John Collins, what he adds, because right now Clint Capella, Onyeka Okongwu, the sixth pick that they got in the draft, that's a lot of big guys that I don't think necessarily totally fit. But at the same time, maybe they're playing Collins at the 4 and they're playing Okongwu / Capella at the 5. I'm not 100% sure. There's a lot of talent now there. And I think that a team that goes out of the playoffs is likely to be the Orlando Magic. And I think right at this point in time, I'm not guaranteeing it. I'll give maybe a Wikipedia fact, but the Atlanta Hawks seem to be a team that will replace them. Yeah. And for me, the Phoenix Suns maybe even above the Golden State Warriors. It's hard to say with the Klay Thompson injury.
With Klay, I think that might be... I think that might be the case. I mean, how much faith do you put in Steph into having a MVP season? Really, it's what he has to. It's what he has to do. He has to get back to his previous form.
I think if
they
these
make the playoffs for sure, but people are touting the Phoenix as being a 5th seed. They're saying maybe now that Golden State have lost Klay, how maybe they can push into that. Getting home court advantage in the playoffs. Very possible, very possible. It's hard to imagine that a team with no real, I guess, Chris Paul is, I guess, that needle mover, but not to the extent of someone like LeBron James. And so it's hard to imagine a team like Phoenix gunning from a decade outside the playoffs all the way to home court advantage, 4th seed. I would expect a little bit of a slower progression, so I'm still thinking 5th, 6th seed, which is still tremendous for Phoenix. That would still be overjoyed. For the Hawks, I've still got this team here. Rondo with Rondo, if they can make the playoffs, they are getting they're getting deep. They're getting deep. They're knocking off the Brooklyn Nets. They are knocking off. No, I have faith in playoff Rondo, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough if they scrape in, which again, playoff basketball would be great for Atlanta. And it seems to be a common theme in this in this episode because there's a lot of teams vying for that spot. But with Rondo, you're going to see an increase in play in the playoffs, and if they can get even 7th. Even 6th, 7th, then they may have a chance of progress. Obviously, it depends who they're matching up against. But if the 1st seed is your Milwaukee, is your Brooklyn, you may have to hit that 6th seed to actually progress and make full use of Rondo. Because
who do you think
first round Rondo is?
Yeah. Who do you think has a greater chance of getting into the playoffs next season out of Phoenix and Atlanta, Nick?
The West
East
is that's right. The West is just dumb right now. At least I can name Wizards will be gunning for a playoff spot, but realistically, that's not going to happen. Chicago probably not. Orlando probably not. Cleveland probably not. There are teams.
Winning all their sinners.
There are teams that are clear dirt in the Eastern Conference. I don't think there is a team, depending on maybe what happens with the Rockets, and the Spurs are never out. The Spurs are never out, but I don't think there's a clear shit team in the West. which makes this so hard. I think the Atlanta Hawks have a greater chance. I mean, you're going to have your teams like, Charlotte's going to be pushing, but Charlotte going to make it. Detroit are going to be pushing, but
Detroit are not going to be pushing, Nick. Detroit are going to be the worst team in the NBA in my eyes.
Worse than Cleveland?
Possibly.
Cleveland would be my word. Cleveland would be my word.
There's three teams. It's the Knicks, it's Cleveland, and it's Detroit. Detroit have about 8 centers. Maybe if they do like the.
They just traded away. They've still got Drummond.
But they've got Plumlee. They've got Jahlil Okafor. They've got Tony Bradley. They've got all these centers. They've got Blake Griffin. They can play a lineup of all centers. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, I think that Phoenix are a better team.
Sorry, Drummond went to Cleveland last year, didn't he?
And he opted in.
That's right.
Yeah, he opted
they just got Killian Hayes, mate. They've got Derrick Rose. They just got Trevor Ariza. That's right. He signed. He signed over there.
He's in OKC now.
Oh, is he OKC now?
I put the tweet
I
where
can't keep up, Jack.
It's the tweet where the person's like throwing around the kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I put that out about Trevor Ariza being tossed around the league right now.
Danny Green. It applies.
Yeah, Danny. I think I was gonna do that with Danny Green, but then someone else did it. And
I need to wait. I need to wait for this. Happens every season. Like I get lost during the thing, and then when it closes, like the dust settles, and it's just like, okay, I can see clearly now. Yeah, you're probably right about our Pistons. For some reason, I thought they had made moves. I thought I'd seen their names, but
I mean, like Plumlee was like the big move for them, which makes little to no sense. Look, Blake Griffin is great, and maybe
Killian Hayes, rookie of the year, playoff bound.
Like Kevin O'Connor, calm down, Jesus! You sound like a stat nerd. Last week you couldn't even tell me anything about LaMelo Ball, but you've given me an awesome segue, Nick. You've given me the best segue in the world, Nick. Anthony Edwards will be the rookie of the year. Now, you can play that video in the background, or you can go to the odds that I put there. Now, I couldn't find Sportsbet, but I did find another website. Sportsbet, a worthwhile and loyal sponsor of JBT.
Yes. Loyal sponsor.
We get nothing from them but the ability to say their name very, very quickly. Now, I've become as anyone who's listening to NBA podcasts for the past 3 or 4 weeks, I've become infatuated with certain guys in the draft. And a guy you need to fall in love with as well, Nick, is Josh Green, an Aussie from Sydney. He's on Dallas right now.
Yes.
3-and-D dude. Big fan of his. He's going to become my new favorite player. I was really hoping he would land on the Nets. Unfortunately, he didn't. But Anthony Edwards is an immense athlete with insane skill. I just don't know how it fits totally in Minnesota because they've got D'Angelo Russell, they've got Ricky Rubio, they've got Malik Beasley, they've got Anthony Edwards. That's 4 guards that would... Well, D'Lo's definitely starting.
Well, my expectation with that would be that Edwards would be pushed into small forward, pushed into that 3 role.
That's what I would assume as well. But Malik Beasley signed a 4-year, $60 million deal as well. What is he playing? Power forward? Like, Ricky Rubio playing power forward?
I guess so, Jack. I guess so.
Look, I don't know, man. I don't know. But there's a lot of talent there. And Anthony Edwards has an immense amount of talent. If he can show some glimpses defensively, if we can get some defensive highlights, because I think he needs to find a way to stand out, because I think LaMelo Ball has the best chance to win Rookie of the Year, because he is going to be given the green light, and I think Gordon Hayward will hide a lot of his mistakes in a way, just having an adult in the room. Whereas it's the Bill Murray team in Minnesota. They're not going to do much defense, that's for sure. Carl Anthony Towns has shown glimpses here and there. D'Angelo Russell is a poor defender. Ricky Rubio is a good defender, and a very good defender at that, but you'd rather have your better defenders at the wing and at the 5 position. And Anthony Edwards has shown a great shot creation. Again, a transcendent athlete. Like, he is Ja Morant, Zion Williamson level of an athlete. Maybe not Zion Williamson level, but he is a crazy athlete in that sort of respect. So if we get a level of consistency where he puts all those skills together, then he's got Rookie of the Year sewn up, because his upside may be even higher than LaMelo Ball's. I said on last week's pod that LaMelo Ball's passing is the best skill of any prospect of the draft, and I still do stand by that. But the athleticism combined with the skill of Anthony Edwards, I think, can make him a Rookie of the Year candidate. I think Killian Hayes might have a decent enough shot if all the centers aren't taking away shots from him, and he's not going to have much space to drive into, funnily enough. Obi Toppin, I'm not a massive fan of. I am a James Wiseman fan, but I don't think he, centers generally, unless you're Joel Embiid or Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Yeah.
Obviously, with Steph, they're going to be. It might be a 2-horse race, or look, we could get a Tyrese Halliburton doing something like a Brendan Clark did last season. But at this point in time, I see those two guys vying it out because they will be given maybe the best opportunities to succeed and make some mistakes and show off their skill level. I'm going with LaMelo at this early point in stage, though.
Yeah, LaMelo's going to be hard to top, given all the things that you said. That the green light is a big thing with these rookies. I am incredibly out on Anthony Edwards.
We've got the highlights playing, Nick, of Anthony Edwards.
I do, and he is incredible. I have no doubt that his athleticism and all of that will see him be very impactful in the NBA. But given recent statements from Anthony Edwards and given where he is drafted, that's the big one. He is drafted in a city that will not make you fall in love with basketball if you are not already in love with basketball, which he is not. Actively saying that he would happily leave if an NFL team were to call him up. Minnesota is not this sort of brilliant culture that will be like, basketball's not bad. It will push him further away from his love of basketball. This is how little.
Do you think it's going to be Andrew Wiggins 2.0, Nick?
Possibly, but people are already saying this about Edwards. I'm not sure if as many people were out on Wiggins. That's why he was such a disappointment, because people had so much high hopes, and people have high hopes for Anthony Edwards as well. But the lack of motivation, the lack of drive, you need that. You need that to be the best at a professional sport. You can't just get there on skill, and there's only so much his athleticism and skill will get him. There's only so far it will get him. I'm all on LaMelo Ball. Obviously, he's got the drive, he's got the determination, and in a situation where he will just be given all the ammunition to succeed. His passing is already at a great NBA level. We'll see how his shot creation goes. We obviously saw his brother take a big dip. Obviously being,
really
semi-decent in college, but not very good in the NBA.
I thought he was really good in New Orleans, Lonzo, as a shooter.
Yeah, it could just be it could be a matter of situation with him and all of these different things. I've heard a little bit of people talking about Obi Toppin for the for Rookie of the Year, mainly because he is at the Knicks, so he'll get his comeuppance. He'll get his play, and offensively very, very good. Defensively, I have heard that he is just absolutely atrocious. When the scouting report for him says he can't move laterally, I don't get that. Like, he's not tall. Like, he's 6'9". Like, it's not like he's a lumbering center, and he can't move laterally. Are you kidding? But, Rookie of the Year, it's not about defense. Who cares? But the reason I'm out on him is because he plays for the Knicks. I have picked for the last 3 years a Rookie of the Year from the Knicks, and they've all been shit. No more. No more, Jack. LaMelo Ball, I swear to God, if he wins Rookie of the Year, I will be pissed. I will be pissed. But yeah, LaMelo Ball for me. So this is I'm putting this one as a hard alternative fact for Anthony Edwards to win Rookie. Just the drive isn't there. You're going to see slumps in form, and you're going to see his mental state just doesn't seem right. And I think the NBA will knock him down a few pegs. I just don't think he'll have the motivation to be like, I'm going to be the best, because his heart's not in it, and it's just damning. I think that's very damning.
Yep, it absolutely could be. Nick, we'll put a pin in it there, and I'm sure next week we'll have more Wizards, Woes, Brooklyn Bits, and
no
BMS
doubt, Jackie boy. No doubt. When we trade for Russell Westbrook and then we fire Scott Brooks, that'll be like the ultimate just blow up because of the reason. I was like, but that's what I mean. Like they had the relationship, so it would be completely wizards to get rid of Scott Brooks when we bring Russell Westbrook in, and just sign and just Anyway, there will be more woes. There'll be more woes, but that is for another week. So we would just like to say thank you for tuning in to Just Ball Things. As always, you can catch it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Player FM, Spreaker, Spotify, wherever it is you listen to your podcast, we will be on there. If you are listening to us on Apple, do us a solid and leave us a rating and review. Helps us out a bunch in terms of rankings, and we want to climb. We want to climb them rankings. If you're catching us on the YouTubes, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to OTG Basketball and hit the notification bell so you know when fresh content comes out. Remember, it's you guys that make this show great, so we appreciate any and every post heading our way. So until next week.
Keep balling, superstars.